Just like last year's Samsung A52, the A53 should be an easy one to recommend. A well-priced all-rounder that does everything you need it to do, and to a good standard. But when I put my SIM card inside, within 24 hours, I'd taken it out again. The reason? This phone feels slow, to the point where it's genuinely frustrating. Opening and closing apps is rough, scrolling on social media is jolty, and loading different parts of the UI is also pretty bumpy. And as well as poor software optimization, another reason for this performance is the chip inside, which instead of a MediaTek or Snapdragon chip, is Samsung's very own Exynos 1280, which is about as powerful as a lawnmower. If we look at raw statistics, the Redmi Note 11T Pro scores nearly double the score in raw performance benchmarks and is actually $70 cheaper than the A53. The Redmi has no problems playing on the highest settings on Call of Duty Mobile with a consistent performance during each session, whereas the A53 had the high graphical settings completely missing from the menu, which is something I've actually never seen before on any smartphone I've reviewed. And performance, well, look at the way my teammates run, on ice apparently. The overall gaming experience was well below average, and performance on PUBG was also choppy, with only the standard HD graphics available, leading to a rather below average experience. It's also not that efficient. Inside is a massive 5000 mAh battery, but still, this will only get you to the end of the day and nothing more. And what's worse is that the charging is only 25 watts, so it's going to take you well over an hour to reach full charge. Aside from these things, there is one thing I must congratulate Samsung on, and that is the build quality. Oh man. It easily survived this terrifying fall, terrifying for me that is, with just a few micro scratches, and yes, this happened after I did all my testing. The quality of this build is notably great. This peach color looks fantastic. The matte finish stops any sign of fingerprints, apart from this exact angle which I have exposed for you guys. The only minus I would say is the removal of the headphone jack, which has been snatched away from us like candy from a child. One major plus to the A53 is its display. The 1080p AMOLED panel looks fantastic and is in a class of its own compared to phones in a similar price range. I immediately noticed how good the brightness was outdoors, as well as its superior quality when it comes to viewing angles. The camera system, apart from the tragic macro and depth sensors, is pretty good. I would say that these are some of the best images you're going to find in the $300 to $400 category. We have optical image stabilization resulting in super sharp images compared to the Note 11T Pro, which does not have OIS, and you can really see the difference in the amount of details the two sensors are able to pick up. There is certainly a tad of over-sharpening in the A53's processing, but there is no denying how wonderful the clarity is. I would say sometimes the A53 can go a little too far with its HDR look. I think in these images the shadows are boosted way too much and the highlights brought all the way down to the point where it looks a little silly, but that can help in difficult lighting situations. The ultra-wide is naturally less impressive, but still does a decent job for its price category. There is an element of over-sharpening again, this time to make up for the slight downgrade in picture quality. There is also a macro mode, which I shall complain about immediately. It kept automatically changing to the macro lens when I was nowhere near close to a subject or surface. We do have 4K 30 FPS, but unfortunately there is limited stabilization. It's not completely out of control or shaking violently, but certainly it's probably not as smooth as most people would appreciate, and it's the same kind of story with 1080p 60 FPS. There is a smidge of stabilization, but nothing too helpful. So 1080p 30 is what you'll need for moving shots where there is near total control of each frame. There is also a 32 megapixel front-facing camera, which I think takes pretty good selfies actually. The lighting is good, the color palette is on point, and there is plenty of details all around. So this is what the selfie video looks like on the A53. It's full 4K, which is kind of ridiculous considering all the flagship Androids this year can't seem to do 4K. It's a little bit shaky, not much in terms of stabilization, but for the price, pretty good selfie video. We also have dual stereo speakers on the top and bottom that sound like this. Another thing that lets down the A53 is its vibration motor. The haptic engine feels very spread out across the screen rather than precisely vibrating each key press. It does, however, come with Gorilla Glass 5 on the front, an IP67 dust and water rating, an optical under-display fingerprint scanner, and 2D face unlock. Running on the A53 is One UI 4.1 on top of Android 12, and apart from being really slow, sluggish, and overall completely unusable, you can pick which accent colors you want based off the tone of your wallpaper, which makes up for everything really. Also out of the box, my version came with a ton of bloatware. Obviously there's Samsung apps and then local apps from whatever region you're in, but this is a little too much in my opinion. Talking of the box, I actually did get a charger and USB-C cable, but I know for a lot of countries this is not the case and you're only gonna get the phone, so something to look out for. Overall, would I recommend buying the A53? Absolutely not. It's buggy, underpowered, and underwhelming for a phone at this price point, and with so many mid-tier to higher-end budget phones being released by Chinese phone brands every second of every day, Samsung can probably sit themselves out of this particular fight. And if you enjoyed this review, please consider subscribing to the channel and turning on all those lovely notifications so you don't miss another upload, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh,